On the line with us, the former governor of Alabama from 1999 to 2003, the Honorable Governor Don Siegelman. free-don.org is the website. Governor, welcome back to the program.
That gives them a hint that I'm no longer the governor and I'm in prison, because it's a free-don.org
there you go.
website.
There you go.
I am doing wonderfully, and I appreciate you taking my call today. We've got 3 people on the Hill. They've gone to every senator's office. They've roamed the Rayburn and Longworth buildings, giving out copies of my recently published primer on criminal justice reform, and tomorrow they'll hit the Cannon building, and have been getting favorable comments and a good reception. And I remain hopeful that this session of Congress will deal finally with substantive criminal justice reform.
I hope so. I hope you're right. And you're seeing it firsthand, up front and ugly. And go ahead.
No, I've seen it firsthand, but I've also spent the last 3 years and 9 months talking to inmates who have seen things and had worst experiences than I have had. So what I've put together in this primer is kind of a compilation of thoughts that have developed over the last 3.5 years from being in prison, but also from my own experiences going back when I was indicted under, what
this call is from a federal prison.
They want to remind you that
right.
You're talking to an inmate. From my own experience with the grand jury, where the government lied to get an indictment. Of course, and that's one of the major problems that we have with our system. While Congress today is looking at passing something called the Safe Justice Act, which deals primarily with the draconian sentences and some fairly simple ways, moderate ways to reduce the time that inmates have been charged with serving. The primer that I developed goes into the problems in a much deeper way. As I noted last week when I called in, even the president's own lawyer, the Solicitor General of the United States, argued to the U.S. Supreme Court in 2010 that U.S. citizens do not have a constitutional right not to be framed. That pronouncement, that attitude, that policy of government, the laws that protect prosecutors from civil fines and judgments because for presenting false evidence or for bribing a witness to give false testimony, it serves as a protection, as an umbrella protection for the misconduct that goes on from the Department of Justice down to the lowest prosecutors and
down to the local county cop, for that matter.
Yeah, because they know they can't be sued,
right.
Even if they lie to get a conviction, and that is something that we need to deal with. How do we deal with that? Well, one, you can remove the civil immunity from those who actually lie to get a conviction.
Right.
If prosecutors frame someone willfully and intentionally, they shouldn't be protected by the United States government. It doesn't seem like, a far step for somebody to take that in the United States of America, we shouldn't protect prosecutors who deliberately lie or have someone lie in order to get a conviction. A more practical thing that was suggested actually by President Obama when he was a senator is that we record all interviews with targets and witnesses. And those interviews, those recordings, be turned over to the defense before trial. If prosecutors and investigators were actually recording everything they said to a potential witness, then they would be constrained to pressure, cajole, and bribe them to lie. So Obama actually had a very good and practical way to pretty much fix this problem. And while James Cole was Deputy U.S. Attorney General, he issued a pronouncement saying that all interviews should be recorded, but that's not really going to happen until it is mandated. And I would prefer it mandated by Congress, although if the U.S. Attorney General stuck with that, he could probably make it hold.
They could do it as policy.
Do it as policy and hold people accountable if they are caught not recording an interview with a witness or a target. And the third thing that we could do is more practical in light of what happened in Ferguson and what happened in Baltimore, and that is when grand juries are convened to allow the witness, the victim, or representative of the victim, or the target, or representative of the target, to be in the grand jury to challenge the evidence that's presented by prosecutors. Prosecutors, since 2010, prosecutors have gotten well over 99% of all the indictments that they have sought, according to the most recent studies. They can indict a ham sandwich. They can indict Officer Wilson in the Michael Brown case, or they could not indict him.
Right.
It is up to the prosecutor to present evidence to the grand jury, and they can fashion that evidence any way they want to, because grand juries are secret. Nobody knows what goes on there, and never will until we open them up to targets or to victims, so that we can have a more fair process. And it can be handled in the same way that you handle objections in depositions, legal depositions. And the question of whether evidence could be presented would be determined by a magistrate, and then the grand jury could go forth and indict or not indict. But grand juries are clearly a critical stage of a criminal proceeding, and not
this call is from a federal prison,
and not allowing a target to be represented there, or a victim of crime to be represented there, is really asking for problems.
Yeah.
And we've seen a number of them.
And it's brought us a lot of problems, and your situation is one of those. We're talking with Governor Don Siegelman, the governor of Alabama from 1999 to 2003, currently in jail, courtesy of Karl Rove and his buddies. The website is, and I say that, and I don't know if you say that or not, but
I'll say, yes, absolutely.
Okay.
I'll say that. And I think maybe Trump, I heard him last night. I was so elated that Donald Trump took off on Karl Rove.
Yes, yeah, Porky Pig.
Finally found common ground.
There you go. Free-don.org is the website for the whole story.
Also, I want to, before I run out of time, I want to encourage your listeners and viewers to watch the Killing of Atticus Finch, which also I think they can pull up. There.
Yeah, it's at that website, free-don.org.
A trailer for a documentary made by Martin Sheen and award-winning actresses Maria Flora and Mimi Kennedy, and I'm excited about it because it pulls the veil back on Karl Rove, and we see exactly what he was up to.
Yeah. And there's quite an effort to make this movie, and I fully support it. The website is free-don.org. Governor Don Siegelman. Sir, it's always an honor and a pleasure to have you on our program. I look forward to talking to you again soon.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you so much.